Welcome to another explainer. Today, we are diving deep into the life of the animal kingdom's absolute ultimate long-distance traveler. We're talking about a creature with biology and behavior so perfectly engineered, it honestly borders on science fiction. Let's get right into it. I mean, just picture this for a second. Imagine taking off from land, catching the wind, and flying thousands of miles across the harsh, open ocean. Now, imagine not touching a single piece of dry ground again, for years at a time, decades even. It seems utterly impossible, right? How could any living creature actually sustain that kind of endless journey? Well, meet the albatross. These guys are basically the legendary monarchs of the skies. The defining fact of their existence is that they spend up to 80% of their entire lives totally out at sea. They're essentially ocean-dwelling creatures that just happen to know how to fly. And the sheer amount of time they spend hovering over the deep blue water, it requires a biological setup unlike literally anything else on Earth. Section 1. Nature's Ultimate Glider. So the absolute most mind-blowing feature of the albatross is just its sheer scale. The wandering albatross boasts the largest wingspan of any living bird on the planet, a staggering 11.5 feet from wingtip to wingtip. To put that into perspective, that is wider than your standard compact car. But here's the crazy secret. Those massive wings aren't actually designed for flapping. Nope. The secret to their epic flights comes down to a brilliant technique called dynamic soaring. The albatross actually possesses a unique biological shoulder lock. So they extend their wings, literally lock them into place, and they don't have to use any muscle energy to keep them there. Then they just harness the wind currents that naturally reflect off the ocean waves. Because of this little trick, they can travel thousands of miles a day, barely flapping their wings a single time. To really understand the sheer efficiency of dynamic soaring, you just have to look at their energy output. Believe it or not, they actually burn less energy flying thousands of miles across the open ocean than they do sitting completely still on a nest. It's wild. By mastering the wind and locking those wings into place, flying just becomes this almost effortless state of being for them. Section 2. Open Ocean Survival Skills. Now, as you know, out in the open ocean, fresh water is literally non-existent. Yet, the albatross can safely drink harsh, completely salty seawater. How? Well, they rely on these highly specialized desalination glands located right above their eyes. They act like a built-in water filtration system, naturally filtering out the harsh salt and then safely excreting it right out through their nostrils. And that brings up another really good question. When you're flying for years at a time, when do you actually sleep? An albatross can definitely rest while floating on the surface of the water, but incredibly, they can also sleep mid-flight. Yeah, you heard that right. They do this by shutting down just one half of their brain at a time, which allows them to rest up while continuing to perfectly ride those ocean wind currents. But make no mistake, they aren't just drifting aimlessly up there. They're absolutely relentless hunters. You might think it'd be pretty hard to find a meal in millions of square miles of empty water, but the albatross relies on an exceptionally sharp sense of smell. From way high up in the air, they can track down squid, fish, and krill across massive, vast stretches of ocean. Section 3. Romance and Loyalty. So let's talk about their life cycle, which operates at a remarkably slow pace. They spend their first 0 to 7 years just maturing at sea. They don't even start breeding until they're somewhere between 7 and 10 years old. Around that time, they engage in these beautifully synchronized courtship dances to find a partner. And from there, they invest a massive amount of time to raise just one single egg every 2 years. Because they invest so much time and energy into this whole process, they've really become this romantic symbol of absolute loyalty in the animal kingdom. Once an albatross chooses a partner after all those complex courtship dances, they cement their bond and mate for life. They literally stay together forever. And this partnership, it is a true partnership. Raising a single, slow-growing chick over the course of 2 years is a massive undertaking, so both the mother and the father practice totally equal parenting. They take turns. One will incubate the nest, while the other flies thousands of miles out into the open sea to gather food. And then they swap. They share the heavy burden of child-rearing completely equally. Section 4. Threats to gentle giants. Unfortunately, the major threats facing these incredible birds are entirely human-made. Right now, there are two primary crises devastating their populations: long-line commercial fishing, where the albatross accidentally catch on baited hooks and drown, and floating plastic pollution. And the tragic irony of that second threat, the plastic, is just devastating. Parents mistake plastic debris for food and accidentally feed it to their chicks. Their exceptionally sharp sense of smell and incredible oceanic hunting instincts, literally the very things that have kept them alive for millennia, are now being weaponized against them by our floating garbage. When you step back and look at the whole picture, the albatross is truly a breathtaking reminder of nature's capacity for endurance and freedom. This is a creature that has evolved to turn the wildest, most violent ocean storms into its own personal playground. They are the undeniable masters of a domain that most humans could never even survive in for more than a few days. So, I'll leave you with this. Could you actually imagine a life completely carried by the wind? It really leaves us in awe of the open ocean, the incredible creatures that call it home, and ultimately our responsibility to protect it. Thanks for joining me for this explainer. Keep wondering, keep exploring, and I'll catch you on the next one.